Receiving an autoimmune disease diagnosis is frightening, overwhelming, and life-changing. Latanya Bias, PhD, experienced these emotions when she was first diagnosed with lupus over 20 years ago. Although lupus chose her, she has learned to adapt to lupus while living her life to the fullest. Hosted by Latanya Bias, founder of the Love Life Lupus Foundation, the Lupus It Chose Me podcast offers inspiration, information, motivation, and encouragement for lupus sufferers to take back their life. Mrs. Bias will share lessons she has learned over the many years she has lived with lupus. A variety of professionals will join Latanya to discuss what the disease is, what causes it, who it affects, the symptoms, life stories, and most importantly, ways for you to love your life with lupus. Join Latanya as she guides you on your journey through life with autoimmune disease. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Lupus It Chose Me podcast. We have a very, very special guest that I'm going to introduce. I'm going to tell you her bio, and you're going to be amazed of the things that this beautiful woman has done. Her name is Cheryl. She is a native of Alabama. She received her degree as a certified medical assistant, currently living in Pensacola, and has worked over the last 15 years in cardiology. Did I say that right? Cardiology, family medicine, and neurosurgeon, and in the neurosurgeon department. Cheryl's husband, Michael, runs a youth nonprofit organization where Cheryl serves as the community relations director. Cheryl also is on have many boards, and she's on one board in particular, which is as a secretary and co-chair of memberships of Sunday's Children. She volunteers with one in particular, the Secret Place Home, and she serves as a youth leader out of her church that she currently attends. Now, Cheryl enjoys spending time with her husband, her son, Jericho, her bonus children. She has 4 of them, and she loves to travel. And we're going to talk a little bit about travel in our podcast here soon as well. Cheryl also is a community advocate. And she wants to as an advocate, want everybody to have an understanding and knowledge. She wants to spread awareness, and to also to those who don't have a voice. Cheryl is also wanting to provide educational information as well. So let's please just give this beautiful, beautiful lady, our special guest, Cheryl. It is my pleasure to have you on our Lupus It Chose Me podcast. How are you today?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to dive right on in. Mm-hmm. So what I want to ask you first, oh my God, what matters most to you in life? We have lupus.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many important things. I know when I was diagnosed, all of a sudden things mattered. Mm-hmm. So to you, tell me, what matters to you?
So I feel like what matters most in my life right now is just not taking life for granted, because I feel like we can easily do that. And so that is, one of the most important things. And just family, going through the pandemic, you really learn to love your loved ones because tomorrow isn't promised. So
absolutely. And I have to agree 110% on that. You have to, day by day. What makes you smile? I know we mentioned your beautiful son and your bonus children. What makes you smile?
So I think with my name being Smiles Behind Lupus, a lot of people ask that question. My mom had a testimony. I know she had autoimmune disease before she passed away, but through the trials and tribulations that she went through, she always prayed and asked God to just give me my smile. Don't let people see what I'm going through. fast forwarding it to now, never would I have thought I would have had to pray that same prayer.
Mhm.
Um, so just knowing that, yes, life is hard with lupus. Even if you don't have lupus that you may be listening, life is very difficult, but you have to find the one thing that still is okay, because you may be hurting, but guess what, somebody didn't wake up today. So I just want people to see my smile and not the pain that I face on a regular basis. So I feel like that's what makes me smile.
That's great to hear because a lot of people do, with or without an autoimmune disease,
Hmm.
need to know that. And I know, speaking of pains, what is your greatest challenge having lupus?
Getting people to really understand what lupus is. A lot of people just like, oh, well, pray that you feel better. Like, in reality, we're really not like better. Like, we pretty much on a daily basis have to fake it, fake being okay when we're not okay. So I feel like that's always a challenge. And me saying no is really a challenge because I know the consequences of pushing myself too much.
Mhm.
So I feel like that really is a challenge. And just people to understand what we go through is more than just joint pain, is more than just when you say, you have severe fatigue, a lot of people don't get that. They're just like, oh, well, go take a nap. Like, and it's not that simple. So,
I agree. I agree with you 110%. Dealing with that daily for me, it's hard to even explain to my children, or at one point, it was very hard to explain to them, I don't feel good. And even when you try to explain it, it seems like it went in one ear and out the other. So you just, okay, I just don't feel good. Give me a minute,
mhm.
or some time. Or then they just, my children, speaking for myself, see me 90% of the time in bed and
Yeah,
could not understand, why is mom in bed all the time?
yeah,
What is going on?
yeah.
Mom's not.
That's so hard for our
Mhm,
kids.
mhm,
Hmm.
absolutely. So tell me what your super strengths, now that we know your challenges, which we can relate, what are some of your super strengths?
I think if you had to have a super strength, it would just be, hmm, just I guess the endurance and the serving. Like, I love to serve others. So I feel like even though I know it's a challenge with my health, it brings me joy to know that I can help someone else despite of what I'm going through. So I feel like that's a super strength. I feel like I'm a strong person and I can pretty much handle a lot. Um, you know, I don't know. God is just, I just pray all the time. God, give me strength, give me
Absolutely.
strength. And I mean, there are days where it's extremely hard or I shut down, but for the most part, I just try to look at like somebody has to have it worse. You're on social media in the lupus community or autoimmune community, and there's someone that's hooked up to a ventilator. Like, so I always look at like, it's someone that's going to be way worse than what I am. So,
Oh, wow. That was good. That was good because I can totally relate when I tell you, you have to push forward. And this smile is permanent now,
yeah.
and that's over the years. But at first,
Hmm.
it was, you can see the
Yeah.
pain. You could see the pain, and nobody could, oh, well, like you said, oh, I hope you feel better, or go lay down. Do you want
Yeah.
to give you some headache medicine? Or,
Mhm. Or they don't understand. I think when I first, being diagnosed, it was hard. Like, you go through the depression because lupus takes so much, from us. And
Mhm. And still do, despite
mhm.
what you do. And speaking of that, receiving your lupus diagnosis, fill in the blank for me. What was it like? Receiving a diagnosis was.
Scary. I guess because I knew something was wrong, um, but not knowing what it was. And then hearing the doctor say lupus, even though I spent 15 years in the medical field, I've heard of lupus, but I didn't really know the ins and outs. So I'm just sitting here like, okay, like, now what? And then it's like, oh, and by the way, there's no cure. And so then it's like, you feel like it's a death sentence. Like, what is this that I have? And, I don't know if the providers that I, first saw, they knew me on the professional level. So I didn't get any paperwork. I didn't get any literature. And I was just like, But I worked in neurosurgery at the time. I didn't work in rheumatology, so it was scary because I didn't know how to explain it to my now husband. So I'm Googling, I'm trying to find YouTube videos, like what do I need to do? What do I need to expect? So
And this,
yeah.
and when you say that, I went through somewhat the same because mine was so long ago. So I didn't
Mhm.
really, I tried to Google, but they didn't have enough information.
Yeah.
So Lupus Foundation, another foundation who's really large, I won't say their name. I reached out to them
Mhm.
and I found I wasn't getting no answers. I felt like I was still stuck with the same process with the doctors, you know, going
Mhm.
through doctor after doctor after doctor. It's like, are you kidding me? Somebody. And before I was diagnosed, girl, when I tell you, it was so many other symptoms, Graves' disease, arthritis,
Mhm.
AFib. Oh, it was just so many other factors. And so I said, you know what? I need to put some skin in the game here. We need to, I need to figure it out. I need to speak to everybody and anybody I can speak to find out what is it like? What are you going through?
Absolutely.
How is it affecting you? And what can we do to come together so that we can
Mhm.
find a cure, bring awareness, whatever it takes. So I know it that took my encouragement. What was your encouragement to start your Smiles Behind Lupus?
So my son actually was my encouragement. When I got diagnosed, I went through that deep depression. I stayed in the room. I was just, there was like, you can't work anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean? I've always worked. I worked since I was 14. So it was just foreign. And then having to depend on someone to take care of me, that was a whole
Oh yeah.
different challenge. And my son was like, Mom, you really should do YouTube. And I didn't know anything about YouTube. I mean, I still to this day don't have a professional camera. I use my phone. But he was like, people should, hear your story. And so, that's how it started. And then in 2018, I started the Lupus Smile Box because I just saw so many warriors that I connected with. They were just struggling. And I was like, God, if I could just do something, even if it's just a journal and a pen, just put a smile on their face. So that's what I started. So that brings me joy that I
Oh,
can help others.
that is great, man. That is great. And I know if it was me receiving that box and I was just diagnosed and I was clueless of what
Mhm.
to do, that would be such a smile. Really,
Yeah.
really a beautiful smile, being encouraged, by gifts. People who have an autoimmune disease, lupus in general. So, man, that would be so encouraging. That's such gratitude. So let me ask you this. How do you deal with lupus on a daily? I can tell you all day long how I deal with it.
I
How do you
guess
deal with lupus on a daily
um what I try to do is strategic at like how I schedule things. Like when I'm doing my Humira injection on Sunday night, I try to not schedule myself for anything on Monday, sometimes not Tuesday. So I try to make sure I'm not overbooking because I know stress kills. Not, I mean, and for lupus, it kills us a whole lot quicker than the average person that's just stressed. So
Mhm.
I had to learn that and I have to learn to say no. And I even schedule my naps that I don't get overwhelmed in doing too much. So um, every day I'm on medication, like a lot of people may not know it, but I have to make sure, I'm taking my, maintenance medication, I do medical marijuana type, supplements and stuff like that. So that's how I make it through the day.
Man, I can tell you you have to. And
Mhm,
it's a blessing you don't have as many, but back in the day, it was maybe 15. So
mhm.
before we move forward, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
guys, what's up? Are you ready to train your body from the inside out through progress, not perfection? Center by JH Method is a full body progressive workout system created by Jordan Hill that has been uniquely designed to help you with mobility and strength while helping you achieve a toned and lean physique. This progressive workout system was uniquely designed by a professional dancer and model. She has incorporated core stability, lengthening and strengthening sequences, and low to high intensity fat blasting interval training. Whether you're 16 or 60, come discover the magic in your body with how it moves through functional movement through a core-centered tempo-based workout. Follow us on Instagram at Center by JH. You can stream us online coming soon, and get ready to get centered and join the fam.
Thank you and welcome back. For those who are just joining, we're here with Smiles Behind Lupus. Her name is Cheryl, a beautiful, beautiful, inspiring woman here to explain her story and her journey with lupus. So getting back to our questions. So I do want to ask, I know we just got off the topic in regards to encouraging and what you do daily so that you dealing with lupus. I want to ask you, once you were diagnosed, did you feel like you had to hide behind your smile once you were diagnosed?
Absolutely. I think leading up to the diagnosis, I was, of course, still working, and I had to hide the pain that I was in. Like, it was such a struggle, but I didn't know what was wrong. So yeah, absolutely. I had to, hide behind the smile and try to just keep going because, at the time I was a single mom before getting married, and just, I had to just keep going. I don't even know, looking back, how I even made it. It was the grace of God.
And I hold to him. I hold to him tight.
Amen.
And I have been all my life. I didn't realize that it would be for me to grab him closer. I think reality kicked in for me was I needed to grab them. I needed to pick up that Bible and find my inspiration that way in order to move forward. And that's what made me take the step to jump out and get out of stop messing with the medicines. Unfortunately, most people cannot do. So please, people at home, don't do what I did. I just kicked the bucket. I literally just took everything, all my vitamins and all my medications, pack one, you name it, and chunk them. And I went through it, and it was not easy. Normally they tell you have to taper off. You need to take, do smaller doses, cut half your pill, the whole 9 yards. I wasn't taking no more. I was like, enough is enough. And
I feel you,
baby, and was like, I'm done. But I suffered. So nobody do that. Consult your doctor.
But they don't tell you, like, my doctors, sometimes they get upset when I say, well, this medication makes me feel like death.
That's right.
But it literally does. Like, currently, my doctor increased my Plaquenil to 2 a day, and I have been so sick. I've lost 10 pounds in a week. And so now they're like, okay, let's put it on hold to see if you get any better. But it's a struggle to find the right regimen. So I do not knock you for doing anything natural.
Did you have a problem receiving Plaquenil when we were going through the COVID during COVID?
I did. So when my doctor started me back, I want to say it was back in August on it. And I took the script, and I knew the doctor gave me a 90-day supply. And so when I got home, I was like, hey, there's only 7 pills. Like, what happened? And I was like, well, I was thinking like, well, maybe Walmart they were out of stock and they just forgot to tell me it'll be in tomorrow. Right. And they were like, no, you've got to get a prior auth. So my doctor had to call my insurance to say, she's not on this for COVID. Can you please get this approved? And it took them almost 3 weeks. So I couldn't even start it. Because I was like, there's no point in me taking 7 pills and I'm not going to have any more.
Right. And then have to taper off. So absolutely. So some positiveness. I was told that you are about to have this beautiful hosting. And I read about it, about bringing awareness with lupus. And it's your Lupus Awareness Cruise for 2022. You tell us all about that.
So, of course, the pandemic has been extremely, extremely hard on us. I feel like when you live the life of autoimmune, especially with lupus, we're already isolated way before the pandemic ever was a thing. Um, but I just felt like, God, like if we could just get away, and we knew, I wanted to make our warriors, not traveling in the summer months. So you took a poll. And so we have an awesome planning committee. So we're doing a 2022 lupus awareness cruise. It's in April of next year, but May is just extremely too hot for us warriors. Exactly. So I wanted to make sure it was still cool. And then the spring breakers are out of the way. So we didn't have that to worry about. But we're excited. So we're running a special to where you can get $50 per person for your deposit. You get a payment arrangement all the way up until the month before we leave. Nice. And it's just going to be fun. 4 days leaving out of Miami, and we're going to be going to the Bahamas and Half Moon Cay. So we're just super excited.
I'm excited. That is great. Okay, well, before we end, let me ask you one thing. One word to encourage lupus awareness listeners today. Give us one word that you would.
One word. Fight.
That's right. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
It would definitely be. We got to keep going no matter what.
Absolutely.
Because I always say the devil is trying to, sneak his little head at any weakness. So we just got to keep going, keep fighting. Tomorrow, I feel is a better day, even though today may not be, but tomorrow will be.
I agree. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. All right, ladies and gents, thank you so much for joining Lupus, It Chose Me. Remember, love is life and life is not lupus.
You've been listening to the Lupus, It Chose Me podcast with Latanya Bias. Latanya is a native of Chicago, author, and philanthropist. She has a PhD in business and is the founder and CEO of the Love Life Lupus Foundation. Although she battles lupus every day, Latanya is committed to creating awareness, sharing knowledge, and funding a cure for this disease. Married for more than 20 years, she has 3 children and 3 grandchildren who light up her life. Until next time, Latanya wants you to remember you can learn to love your life with lupus. You can learn more about Latanya and her work by visiting the foundation website at lovelifeLupusFoundation.org. Her book, Lupus, It Chose Me, is available at Amazon.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Subscribe, share, and listen on Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to stream. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. The opinions of the guests are their own and do not represent the opinions of the Lupus, It Chose Me podcast. The podcast content is informational only and is not intended to treat, diagnose, or cure. You should consult with your doctor or medical professional before you make any decisions that could adversely affect your health.